Pembrokeshire is the westernmost point of Wales, a peninsula of cliffs, bays, and farmland jutting into the Irish Sea. In 1977, it was rural, remote, and quiet, the kind of place where nothing much happened. The village of Broadhaven sits in the southern corner of St. Bride's Bay, a small cluster of houses, a beach, a primary school. Population, a few hundred. Known for its blue flag beach and very little else. On the afternoon of February 4th, a group of children came in from the playing fields during their lunch break. They were agitated. Some were frightened. They told their teacher they had seen something in the field beyond the school boundary, something they could not explain. 14 children, ages 9 to 11. They said a silver, cigar-shaped craft had come down in the field. It had a dome on top. There was a figure, silver, humanoid, near it. Their teacher did not believe them. Neither did the headmaster, Ralph Llewellyn. The children tried parents. They tried neighbors. Nobody would look. The following day, still unheeded, the children did something remarkable. They filed a formal petition with the local police, demanding the incident be investigated properly. The petition worked. Llewellyn called the children in, one at a time, separately, so that none could influence the others. He gave each child a piece of paper. He told them to draw what they had seen. The drawings were the same. Dome on top, silver surface, a figure near it. 14 children, interviewed separately, drawing the same object, placing it in the same field, describing the same shape. Llewellyn would later say that not looking, not stepping outside to see for himself on the afternoon of February 4th, was a decision he regretted for the rest of his life. It did not stop at the school. Over the weeks and months that followed, the sightings spread across the peninsula. Farmers, fishermen, hotel owners, families. By the end of 1977, 450 paranormal incidents had been reported to local authorities across Pembrokeshire. The Sun newspaper called it the Terror Triangle. Others called it the Welsh Triangle, the Devid Triangle. Whatever name it was given, it described the same thing. A corner of West Wales where, in 1977, something kept appearing that nobody could explain. At Ripperston Farm, 4 miles from Broadhaven, a dairyman named Billy Coombs and his wife Pauline began reporting incidents in April 1977. UFOs sighted from their car, unexplained lights over the fields. Their television set kept breaking down. Their car, then another car. Appliances replaced, failing again. In June 1977, a herd of cattle, 120 animals, were found in a completely different field. The gates had been locked. Nobody had moved them. Then, in the early hours of April 23rd, Billy and Pauline Coombs were watching a late film when Pauline looked toward the window. Standing at the window was a figure, 7 feet tall, silver suit, a blank face behind a black visor. It did not move. It stood at the window and watched. 2 months earlier, in April 1977, Rosa Granville, who ran the Haven Fort Hotel overlooking St. Bride's Bay, was woken in the early hours by a strange buzzing noise. She looked out and saw an oval-shaped, brightly lit object on the ground. Beside it were 2 humanoid figures in boiler suits. They appeared to be measuring something. The heat, she said, was so intense that her face felt burned. The following morning, she found a flattened area of grass where the object had stood. She wrote to her Member of Parliament. Her MP wrote to the Ministry of Defense. The Ministry of Defense opened an investigation. Explanations were offered. An RAF officer who visited Rosa Granville's hotel noted that the description of the silver-suited figures matched exactly the fire protection suits worn by workers at a local oil refinery. In 1996, A local businessman named Glenn Edwards admitted he had wandered the area in a silver suit in 1977 as a prank. Some incidents, perhaps, were explained, but the prankster theory does not explain the school. 14 children, separated, drawing the same thing before any media coverage had begun, before any description had been published, before any adult had told them what a UFO looked like. It does not explain why 450 separate incidents were reported across a year by people who did not know each other, in locations spread across the entire peninsula. The Ministry of Defense investigated. Their files, later released under the 30-year rule, are notable for what they do not say. RAF Valley's covering note on the Broadhaven school children's accounts reads, "We can offer no positive explanation or identification." In a secret briefing on UFO policy submitted to the Defense Intelligence Staff in December 1977, officials wrote only that there had been some concern in Wales. The RAF police thought it could have been the work of a practical joker. The current headmaster of Broadhaven Primary School receives several phone calls every year from people asking about the 1977 sighting. He has said, "We will never know what happened on February 4th, 1977. But the story remains just as important for our children today as it did then. It is an integral part of Broadhaven's history." The children who were there that day are in their late 50s now. Several have given interviews over the decades. They do not waver. What they drew in those separate rooms, they say, is what they saw. There is a photograph taken at Broadhaven Primary School in 1977. It shows the children standing together outside, holding up their drawings. Their faces are serious. They are not performing. They are children who know what they saw and cannot make the adults understand. 14 children, 14 drawings, one shape. Whatever came down in that field on February 4th, 1977, it left behind something that 40 years of explanations have not been able to erase. The drawings were the same.